For many, this is the most bittersweet football weekend of the year. While there's two NFL playoff games, each on Saturday and Sunday, and then the College Football National Championship on Monday, the realization is setting in that there are only 3 games left in the season beyond that. Maybe even tougher to take is the fact that the Pick'em crew is almost out of chances to screw up their once fantastic seasons. Indeed, Fun Football Fridays are coming to an end, but we can make it more memorable for you. Of course, Zach is here, and we'll also talk about the Saints, and I'll ask him if it's really true what many Ole Miss fans think. Boo-hoo, hoo-hoo-hoo, boo-hoo, Ole Miss. That Lane Kiffin is sabotaging his former employer. Oh, and by the way, baseball has a new $60 million man. Remember the $6 million man? Yeah, that was like ancient times. $60 million. Say what? I tell you what I'll say. I will say that I'm starting the Dattitude podcast right now.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where are you at, Dattitude family? Are you ready for some playoff football? I know, sadly, it's coming to an end, and then all we're going to have to talk about, we'll have to go through the offseason routine again and talk about the Pelicans. And good news, LSU baseball's coming up. LSU women's basketball, still hot. LSU men's basketball, no. That's why, while football's coming to an end, we're just beginning here on Dattitude, episode number 464, presented by Evangeline Securities for a Friday, January the 16th, 2026. I'm your host, Jim Derry. You know that. 35 years on the New Orleans sports media scene. Thank you all for being a part of the Dat family. You can become we can all become super close-knit. I know I told you that we would have memberships done by today, but my freelance schedule got in the way. I've been super busy. This week has been insane. It's funny because last week I didn't have a whole lot of freelance. This week it was nonstop. And as soon as I'm done with the show, I got to write a story and I got a game tonight. So it's going to be crazy times. So we are going to postpone the memberships. They will be available next Wednesday. We'll probably talk about them a little bit later as well. But if you're interested in memberships, I think I've settled on a cost of $14 a month. Basically what you're doing, and I'll tell you real quick, what you're going to be doing if you decide to become a member is you're supporting the channel. Okay, we're going to have a Slack channel, which is a message app just for members of the channel. If you become a member, you will be able to get into our Slack channels, and we will talk back. We can have kind of a text. It's almost like texting, I guess. And that way you'll be able to get a hold of us all the time. Gabe and I will be in there all the time. And that's coming. Also, when merch comes, you'll be the first ones to get some merch. I'm going to send some merch to you as soon as we start doing that. And that's coming next. So after we do memberships, merch is next. If you become a member, we'll find a way to get you some of that merch. All right. That's all coming up again on Wednesday. I'm sorry I had to postpone it. Hope you regulars will want to become members and help support the channel. And again, more on that coming up next week. What's special about our show and why so many people want to be part of the Dat family, why so many people are part of the Dat family is because we're not only because we're live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday here at 11 a.m., but because you talk to us, we talk back, you type in the comments, and we'd love for you to type in comments because we're going to show them. And I'm going to talk back to you. You got a question, you got a comment, I'll show it on the screen, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. We'll show it on the screen, and we will answer it for you. Zach Ewing come up in a little bit. Pick'em crew was absolutely and utterly. If you bet against the Pick'em crew last week, you're a rich mofo right now. I mean, depending on how much you bet. I mean, we stunk up the joint. So it's only up from here. I mean, we basically ruined our fantastic record. If you go back and look like 3 weeks ago, we were something like 560 combined. Our winning percentage was something like 560 combined against the spread. That it is no longer 560. I have had like a bad month and a half. I don't know what's going on. So I've kind of like got a whole new mentality later today coming up. Maybe a new third. What's up is down, maybe. Maybe that's the mentality that I've got coming on. That is coming up later today. Again, Zach Ewing's going to come on about 11:20. We're going to talk Saints. We're going to talk about LSU and Lane Kiffin. And again, Matt Moscona on his Inside LSU podcast last night. If you don't watch it, I suggest, and you love LSU, you should absolutely watch it. I'm not sure why you haven't. If you haven't yet, I highly recommend it. You know, Matt's been on this show many times. He comes on every couple months, every few months, kind of depending on what's going on. And he was talking last night about the Ole Miss fans thinking that Lane Kiffin is intentionally sabotaging the Ole Miss program. Now, whether it is true or isn't true, I mean, it's kind of going both ways, right? There are people leaving LSU to go to Ole Miss. It's kind of a revolving road, so to speak. But, I mean, this is the reason why, if I got to pick between, and I don't care. I know I'm probably going to, there's probably a couple Ole Miss fans out there, and I'll piss them off. But apparently I pissed a lot of people off this week. I'll tell you about that in a minute. If I piss off Ole Miss fans, I'm sorry. But this is why, like, I probably would even root for Alabama over Ole Miss, unless I just have a bet on Ole Miss or something along those lines. But do you know a bunch of wowers and the world hates us more than Ole Miss? I don't. I'm dead serious. I don't. At least Alabama laughs at that kind of crap. Now, LSU fans, they've got their own things too. And I went to LSU. I get it. But Ole Miss, I have never heard a bigger bunch of crybabies and when they win, sore winners than the Ole Miss Rebels. I'm just going to say that. Oh, he's trying to sabotage. I mean, they're out of the playoffs now, so now they're going to turn their attention. Who hates us? They forgot about who hated them for 3 weeks, and now they're back to who hates them. So anyway, I'm going to ask Zach about that. We're going to briefly talk about the NCAA championship game coming up on Monday, because we're probably going to spend a lot of time we are going to spend a lot of time on Monday. I told the Pick'em crew we cannot pick the national championship game in our picks this week because we're all going to make a pick. We're going to make one pick on Monday. We're each going to make one pick. You can either pick a spread or you can pick the total. That's your two options. And then I think starting next week when we get to the championship games, I'm going to have to open it up a little bit to player props if we want to do that. We'll figure out some new rules since we got 3 picks. But a couple of things first this morning. Sorry, I'm drinking water. My throat's a little dry this morning. Kyle Tucker, did you see this? He's not the first $60 million man, but the fact that the Los Angeles Dodgers now have Shohei Ohtani for, I think he's making $70 million a year, and Kyle Tucker for $60 million a year. Gabe, I don't know the answer to this. Is there a quick way to find out how many teams have total salaries less than $130 million a year? Because the Dodgers are paying Shohei and Kyle Tucker a combined $130 million a year. It's insane. That's why baseball's killing itself. I mean, you can't sustain this thing. And it's breaking news as we Bo Bichette is headed to the Mets. He's on what did they just say? 3 years, $126 million. I mean, where are we at? Where look, I like Bo Bichette. He's a fine player. $42 million a year. That's by far more than any NFL player. I'm right when I say this, right, Gabe? That's $42 million is well more than any NFL player a year. Is there anybody making more than $42 million? Gabe says there is. Bo Bichette's making $42 million a year. Just breaking as we speak. I don't think nobody's making $60 million a year. Oh yeah, wait. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence is making $60 million a year, huh? Trevor Lawrence and Dak are both making $60 million a year. So there you go. Some quarterbacks. Salaries are just look. Baseball has got to. They're going to have a long layout. They're going to have a long lockout coming up after this offseason. There's going to be a lockout, and I'm going to be very. They haven't had a long one. They haven't had one in a while, actually, or a strike or anything like that, and it's been a while. But they are going to have a long layout because baseball has got to institute a salary cap. Look, you know me. I've told you before. I'm all about players making money, whatever they can make. I'm not pissing on Kyle Tucker. Good for him. He got $60 million. Good for Shohei. He got $70 million. Good for Juan Soto. I think he's making $65 or $70 million for 10 years. Good for them. Great, fantastic. Nothing against them. But baseball cannot survive if it keeps giving these kinds of salaries. And they're continuing to lose over and over again. Gabe's going to come on and answer my question real quick. Go ahead, Gabe. What you got?
So I've got a few answers for you. You said 130 being paid to Ohtani and Tucker now. That would rank 20th in the MLB in payroll, just ahead of the Cincinnati Reds at 112 million.
So those two guys make more than the entire Brewers. Cincinnati, more than the Cincinnati Reds and the Milwaukee Brewers, who won the National League.
They're $4 million under.
Okay. The Milwaukee Brewers, who won the National League Central last year and really weren't that far out of probably going to the World Series. Insane.
And if you're wondering, the Dodgers are paying a luxury tax every season now that would rank in a similar position in terms of payroll. I believe it's a little bit more. I think the figure I saw last night was 139 million in luxury tax every year.
Wow.
Is what they're paying. And then to answer your football question, yeah, there are many people making over $42 million a year.
But not many making over 60 million.
Over 60 million? No, there's only
Trevor Lawrence and Dak.
Right? Trevor Lawrence is 55 million.
Oh, okay. Okay, so only one. Dak Prescott's the only
It's
one.
Dak Prescott, yeah.
Okay.
But there are above 50, it's 11 players.
Insane. We'll see you in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
Or a little bit more than a few minutes. We'll see you in a little bit. I mean, that's just insane. And I'm telling you, you can't sustain that. That is not sustainable in baseball. So I'm telling you, there's going to be a long layoff. Since we last met, you knew this. We told you it was probably going to happen, that John Harbaugh was going to become the coach of the Giants. And look, I think the Giants, I think highly of John Harbaugh. I don't think he's not the greatest coach of all time, but I mean, if you look at the past 25 years, he certainly ranks in the top 10, right? I mean, he may rank in the top 5 for some of you. When you last that long at one place, you won a Super Bowl. I mean, when all is said and done, John Harbaugh is going to be in the Hall of Fame, right? I would think so. I would put him in there. I mean, so I think the Giants were already on the upswing. And I think they got themselves a really good coach. Now, we'll see where the rest of the dominoes fall. Where's Coach Gucci going to go? Is he going to go to Atlanta? That would be so damn fun if he goes to Atlanta. Come on, Coach Gucci. And then lastly, before we get to our friends at Evangeline Securities in our comments this morning, again, Zach's scheduled to come on in about 6 or 7 minutes. I had some people, I just got to throw this out there, and I know you're trying to become independent. You're trying to become successful. You don't want to piss people off. You don't want to lose subscribers, Derry. Well, we lost a few subscribers this week, and I don't care. I mean, look, I'm going to tell you the way that I think that it is. And if not most of you, all of you regulars, even when you don't disagree with me, I think you appreciate the fact that I tell it the way that I think it is, right? Well, apparently on Wednesday, some people did not like when I talked about the belt to ass comment and then called people who whip their kids D-bags. I got, look, it is what it is. And again, I even put the caveat of at one time, I put hand to bottom at certain times. Whatever. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. And you want to go watch Wednesday's show to hear exactly what I said. I'm not shying away from it. You go find it. But one person went to start calling me names, and I actually liked one of the names he called me. So I may use it here from time to time going forward. He called me. We're going to go. Wait, where is it? I don't want to mess this up. So Aaron Rodgers had the discount double check, discount double check. Well, the name calling that I got this week from my comments from Wednesday, one person said, I got the Dattitude double chin. So I actually kind of like that. And I may use that. I may steal. He meant it as an insult, but I kind of like it. I may go with it. And I think I'm going to put that on a shirt. When we go to merch, and we talked about going to merch, I think I'm going to put that on a shirt. The discount double chin. Can you just see the beard with the goatee and have a little? I mean, I'm going to have to find some way to do it, but we'll find a way to do it. I don't care. I mean, even when I'm on the road. Remember, I told you I'm losing weight. Yeah, we're on the road. I don't care. The discount double. I mean, the Dattitude double chin. I love it. We're going to do it. You know what else I love? I love my friends at Evangeline Securities. Of course, they are a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. That's you. If it's someone you know, it's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding partner, Nick Braden, who absolutely supports the Dattitude Double Chin. He'll start by scheduling a complimentary valuation from his office, either on Poydras Street or in Lafayette. And from there, you'd be well informed to begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. What happens after that? We'll fill you in more later in the show. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. You can also check out my friend Joe DiStefano. If you own a small business of fewer than 20 employees, you know how tough it is to get the best rates on health insurance. That's why you want to call Joe DiStefano Insurance. Joe and I have known each other for almost 40 years. I can tell you that he's someone that I trust. Look, health insurance shouldn't be one size fits all. And with Joe DiStefano, you get access to PPO networks and flexible plans designed to fit you, not just a cookie cutter mold. Joe's licensed, he's local, but he can help you no matter where you live and operate. From preventative care to peace of mind, we'll tailor a plan that works for your life today and tomorrow. Call Joe DiStefano at 504-234-2132 to protect what matters most. Let's get this show rolling, boys and girls. Zach Ewing's in the green room. I'm going to bring him in about 2 or 3 minutes, but I got some comments to show here this morning. Christopher Crump, good morning. Hopefully our boys will be playing next year in the playoffs. You know, I was thinking about that last night, watching some old games, and I got kind of drawn into the 2009 season again. I mean, that's easy to do, but kind of I don't know, I came across this Drew Brees thing that I hadn't seen on YouTube before, and I ended up watching it and kind of going into watching part of the Miami game again in 2009. You know what game I'm talking about. Down 24-3, came back, won it to go 6-0 on the way to 13-0 on the way to the Super Bowl. Yeah. Is this the start of something special? I don't know if this team's going to be in the playoffs next year. We're going to get to Zach in a minute. We're going to lead off with Saints. Probably not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about Saints this morning, but it could be. It could be something. I mean, this could be a great offseason for a lot of fun in the offseason this year. Could be. Charles Mangus, good morning. Can't wait to see our best bets. Yeah, the Pels won. Woohoo! Okay. S. Callie, good morning. It is cold in Pensacola, Florida. It is cold in Mandeville, Louisiana. It is currently, well, it's not that cold anymore. The sun's out. Apparently it's 60 degrees. It was not 60 degrees when I came into the office this morning, I promise you. And S. Callie, yes, the sports betting scandal is crazy. Zach might have something to say on that. Where you been, San Luis Obispo Houdat? Good morning. All the Houdats from Central California Central Coast where we can't figure out who to root for. Rams or the Niners? Oh, we're going to get the Rams and Niners. UBN says at least the Pick'em crew is waiting till 3 weeks left to have their worst week. I mean, we still could have their worst week this week. It could be worse. You can never say it can't be worse. It can always be worse. Phil Mariande, good morning. Shucking New Year. Lance is here. Brian Cavett, good morning. Go Bills, Texans, Niners, and Bears. Okay. Charles Mangus, happy birthday to your wife coming up tomorrow. That's Callie says she is going to be a member, and she's going to get some swag, and Charles is going to be a member. And UBN's wishing happy birthday. His birthday's coming up a couple months. He's going to be like 63. Older than me. Good morning, Randall. Who that daddy is here? Good morning. Adam Varner is making all kinds of predictions. I guess got to go back to work. Got Indiana. He's got, well, you can predict that on Monday. We're going to talk about, you can make your predictions on Monday. I mean, you can make them today if you want. He's got Rams big over the Bears. He's got the Bills over the Broncos. He's got the Texans nipping the Patriots, and he's got the Seahawks cover, the 49ers covering, but the Seahawks winning 26-20. Who that daddy says about the MLB player salaries, just let you know what kind of money these teams are pulling in. You know, I don't know. At some point, you got to wonder if they're really pulling in all that money. Who that daddy loves the Dattitude double check. I'm telling you, man. And UBN is upset that he didn't come up with the Dattitude discount double check, Dattitude double check. Just saying, it's going to be fun. Last comment before we get to Zach here this morning is, oh, wait, I take it back. Two more. Ron Hendrickson, good morning. Looking forward to the NFL games this weekend. He's got Bills, he's got Patriots, he's got 49ers, and he's got Bears, and DA gets a little revenge. And lastly, Brian S. Steve says, people were upset that I spoke out against hitting your kids. Some people choose some strange hills to die on. You think? It's everywhere, though. These are the most, again, I have to be careful because and another person told me to stay in my lane. This show is called, it's right up there. It's called Dattitude with Jim Derry. My lane is whatever the hell I want my lane to be. That's how I responded as well. But, it is what it is. But yeah, people indeed pick weird, strange hills to die on, Zach Ewing. I don't understand some of the hills that people decide they're going to die on and fight on, but amen. To each his or her own.
Thank you for welcoming me to your lane, because I think that's what this show is.
You're always in my lane. It is my lane, and you're always invited to my lane.
Man, you should put that on a Valentine. You should have Dattitude Valentines.
Dattitude double chin?
There you go.
We're working on it. Maybe I'm working on mine, actually. I've actually got it's really like a triple chin. I'm trying to go down to the It is what it is.
I come armed with opinions today, Jim. You want some opinions?
You know what we like? We love opinions on this show.
The Dodgers are not the problem.
I don't disagree. I agree with you. I agree. What is the problem?
The Pirates and the Royals, and the Royals are not so bad, but the Pirates and the Twins and the Marlins and the Rays and these teams that refuse to come to the market, they're the problem. Because I guarantee you these teams are making enough money, maybe not to spend quite like the Dodgers, but you know what? The Dodgers went and forked over a truckload of money for Ohtani, in part because they knew that they were going to make money off of Ohtani. The entire country of Japan sponsors the Dodgers. No, of course they've got more money. They were smart enough and risk taking enough to go spend the money and to come to market. And that's what we reward in a free market society. So I don't have any problem with the Dodgers. I mean, I think my Mariners are ostensibly a World Series contender next year, and I don't see how they beat the Dodgers in a 7-game series if it comes to that. But I don't blame the Dodgers for that. That's just how it is. I mean, nobody else wants to compete, then we're going to learn our lesson.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with anything you just said, but Gabe and I think agree on this. He actually wants to ask you a question when we get to the NCAA portion of this segment here. But the one thing that I will say is, although I don't disagree with anything you said, I think there has to for baseball to survive. Okay. Again, the Dodgers aren't doing anything wrong. Kyle Tucker didn't do anything wrong. Shohei Ohtani didn't do anything wrong. They're signing what their market values for, and the Dodgers are going out and say these are the rules and we're playing by them. But baseball has got to change. If they don't come up with a salary cap and a salary floor, I think that I don't know if this sport can survive with the way they're going right now.
The sport will survive because the sport is beautiful. Right. The people always love baseball. However, we are headed toward one hell of an ugly work stoppage it's going
to be long.
Time.
It's going to be a long
November,
one.
I believe, is when this CBA expires. Yep. And I worry very much about the 2027 season. I
honestly don't know if there's going to be a 2027 season as we speak right now. And if there is, it could be a lot like the COVID season of 2020 when they played 60 games and started in August or whatever the hell it was, or late July or whenever it was. So that could be. All right, people don't want to
stoppage, but
all right. Did you have another opinion that before we get into dive in? You said opinions.
I got opinions about the sports betting scandal, but if you want to save that.
Oh yeah, no, please. By all means, somebody actually typed up something about that. And the sports betting scandal, if you don't know about this and you've been living under a rock, it's getting bigger every day now. It seems like there's something new every day. We haven't really talked about it on the show. We probably will at some point, but NCAA basketball, lots of problems coming out about players that played in the past, including a Tulane player that played recently.
Yeah, there's Louisiana ties all over this thing too. I think Tulane, Loyola. I can't even remember all the schools. McNeese might have been it. No, not McNeese. I can't.
No,
I don't want to.
I think there was a.
Was it UNO?
Let's not guess.
I don't want to name a school.
UNO was definitely in there.
I don't want to name all the schools, but here's my thing, and I'm going to sound like such a degenerate. I think it's being overblown a little bit.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because, look, I think that this type of thing has happened consistently throughout the history of college sports. Okay. I just happen to think that in the last 6 years, since sports betting became legal in a lot more places and a lot more prolific, that we have been able to catch it, that it is a lot easier to find out when there is something funny going on.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, this is all progress. And the fact that now, again, maybe they'll find more, and I'm not trying to defend the actions. It is a bad thing. It could mean it, if this ever became like widespread, it would be apoplectic for sports, right? Like if it ever came out that people are just throwing the games, for sports are over, forget it. Like why do we want to talk about something that's fixed? Why, what fun is that? But I don't think that's the case, because I think if it were, we would be finding a lot more evidence of it since sports betting became legal. And so here we are with all of these oversight committees and all of these sports books looking out for this sort of thing. Because, by the way, when this happens, who pays the financial penalty? The sports books do. They're the one they're looking out for it, because it's their bottom line that's at risk if a game is fixed, because you're going to get a bunch of money on UNO against Lamar or somebody, and
right.
All of a sudden you just took a 6-figure bath on a game you normally don't write 5 figures worth of tickets for. So to me, the fact that there were 29 games out of tens of thousands of college basketball games played at all levels last season, 29 games were fixed. I'm not saying it's not something worth reporting and hand-wringing and stuff, but to me, it does not seem like this widespread overarching problem.
No, and look, let's be real. Game fixing has gone on since the beginning of sports time. I mean, it really has. I mean, just because you didn't hear about it as much as you're hearing about it now, and I agree with you. I think the entrance of sports books into the legal world the past 5 to 7 years has changed what is being found and what's not being found. And I think you're going to see the books evolve and how gambling is, I think that you're probably going to start limiting big bets to only totals and spreads at some point. I think that's where we're headed. You're certainly going to eliminate big bets on unders if that's already starting to happen anyway. So I think that's where this goes next. And look, it's just you have to evolve with it, and I think it's in the long run, it's going to help eliminate this crap.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, I'm torn on the player prop things, because I believe that when books only offer an over on something and they refuse to offer a price on the under, to me that is shameful on the sports books part. They ought to have an under price on anything they offer an overprice for. But you're right. In some cases, there are some point shaving and fixing scandals to worry about. So I do understand that part of it.
Well, if you don't, at the bare minimum, and here's something that I certainly advocate for. I think at the bare minimum, if you allow and I agree with you on that, and I hear you. If you're gonna keep the unders, then I think that the bare minimum you need to at least put a limit on bets, like maybe make them $100 or something, or $200 or whatever, because nobody's going to go fix a game if the max bet on an under is $100. I mean, nobody's going to do that. It just wouldn't make any sense. So that would be my way to do that, to fix that. All right, let's get into, I want to move on here a little bit. And look, we're going to probably not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about the Saints. We're kind of in a lull. I know writers are taking some time off now. Players are moving into vacation mode if they are not in the playoffs. And so we have some topics that we're going to want to talk about over the course of the next month or so before we kind of start diving into the draft. And I think the number one topic right now, obviously, we've talked about Tyler Shuck till we're blue in the face, and I'm sure we'll talk about him plenty more. But I want to ask you your thoughts on Cam Jordan and Demario Davis and your thoughts on whether you think they'll come back. So that's kind of where we're going with Saints today. And if people want to comment on this in the comment stream, they're more than welcome to, and we'll show any comments or questions that they have. But your initial thoughts on, we've kind of talked about, I think we both think Taysom Hill's not coming back. I think we're split on Kamara. But what are your thoughts on Cam and Demario?
If I had to choose, if you're just offering me A, they come back, or B, they don't come back, I'm going to predict that they do come back. And that is simply from the human nature perspective of, I think both sides want them to come back. I think the team does, and I think the players do. And there will certainly be some negotiations on what those contracts look like and maybe what their playing time looks like and if there's incentives involved and those sorts of things. But ultimately, those are details. And if Cam Jordan and Demario Davis both want to be back with the Saints next year, and the Saints want to have them back, and I believe all of those things to be true, then they'll find a way to make it work. That's my opinion. I don't think it's a sure thing, but that's where I would lean.
I read on NOLA.com, and your Saints Insider has been all over it, but I think it was Duncan was talking about that Cam's probably not going to take the hometown discount, which kind of surprised me a little bit. So, I mean, what's it going to take to get him to come back? I mean, does that mean that he's going to command like an $8 million salary? I mean, what are we thinking here for 1 year?
That was actually Matthew Paris who wrote that, and It's a good story. It's worth going to look at. And I think his point was not necessarily that Cam would not give any kind of a hometown discount. It's just that you're not going to get him what you got him for in 2025, which was barely more than the veteran minimum salary, and then it was laced with incentives, which Cam met a lot of those incentives. I mean, my God, he finished with 10.5 sacks. Who could have predicted that?
Right.
So, but Cam's point was, and Matt was sort of doing an analysis based on what Cam said in the postseason, the final locker room interview session of the year, the Monday after the Falcons game, and that is that. Like, look, I took that last year because I didn't produce in 2024, but now that I have produced, I shouldn't have to go prove that I can still play. You should pay me for that production in 2025. That doesn't mean that he wouldn't sign with the Saints for $7 million when someone else offers him 10. I mean, maybe he would do that, but there might be a little bit of a discount. I think his point was just, I'm not going to play for nothing. You need to pay me, what's fair.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds reasonable. And it'll be interesting to see if they would maybe give him a little bit more base and kind of still go with incentive laden. I just don't know what they're going to be able to offer him when you think. I mean, the cap situation is going to be a lot better this year than it was going into last year. So maybe they don't need to worry about what the hometown discount is going to be, but they still got to go out and sign a free agent guard, potentially a free agent wide receiver, and maybe even a defensive back. So I'm not exactly sure where the team's going to go in free agency, but these guys, where do they rank on that list among things that they need?
If they don't sign Cam, you definitely need to bring in an edge rusher via the draft or free agency. I mean, that would be a big hole. I would even argue if you do bring back Cam Jordan, you probably need some more depth there and maybe some youth there. Like I would consider second, third round pick, depending on how the first round goes, maybe even an edge in the first round.
God, no, please, God, no.
Available. I know you don't agree with that, but I
think
God,
it's no, please, God, no.
If you look down the line, that's going to become a hole for this team pretty soon, even if it's not in 2026. So I do think that's one possibility. But so I like, if you don't sign Cam, if you don't spend your free agent dollars that way, you will have to probably go spend them on someone else who frankly would be more expensive, whether in draft capital or in free agent dollars. So again, makes a lot of sense. Linebackers slightly different because Danny Stutzman is probably ready to just step in if you did lose Demario Davis. Now, having said that, I don't think there's anything wrong with having depth there, and you have Pete Werner, who's just sort of a guy. And if Danny Stutzman really pushes his way into the starting lineup, you could just make Pete Werner your third middle linebacker, your depth, and you could start Demario and Stutzman. So to me, that's not as much of a need, but I still say Demario is very productive. He was one of the best players in your defense. Why not bring him back?
Lance says $10 million a year for Cam. I think that's high. I don't think you go past 8 is I think would be my limit on Cam. Maybe give him some incentives. 2 years, $14 million for Demario. I actually think that's low. Excuse me, just coming off a 2 year, $17.25 million contract. I would think that if he wanted to come back, it would be in the same ballpark again, considering that he's had the most tackles 2 years in a row now, the most tackles he's had in his career. So, but your thoughts on the range of salary?
I haven't looked too closely at it. I mean, I would just say, based on that comment, like you're always going to pay edge rushers more than linebackers. So even though Demario maybe had a better season or whatever, just the positional value of that, that might not be that far off.
You think $10 million for Cam? I think that's high.
It's probably a little high. Maybe it's, like I said, $7 million contract with some incentives that could get him to 10 if he has another good year. Or the other thing is, it could be, I don't know, maybe you.
I mean, and I'm looking at what he was coming off of, and it was, like you said, it was a $6 million year before, with incentives up to 10. So he probably made pretty close to 10. So I'd be inclined to maybe give him 8 with incentives up to 10. So I mean, at least you're guaranteeing him $2 million more than he made last year, with a chance to make $10 million again. And what would have to think, and I know I said this before, but you would have to think that you extend him 1 year and then he's done. I would think, because he's going to be 37 next year. I mean, I guess there are such thing as 38-year-old defensive ends, but there ain't a lot of them.
Probably. I mean, the other option would be to go slightly lower per year, but you do give him 2 years and you guarantee the money so that if he just falls off a cliff and has a terrible year and all parties agree that it's time for him to go, he's got his guaranteed money and you just kind of pay him in 2020.
And you just kick that can, baby, and write some dead cap money off later.
But it wouldn't be a lot. It wouldn't be a lot, right? We're talking about at least $5 or $6 million. You can handle,
which is peanuts. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Especially Calvin, when you have a quarterback on a rookie contract.
Yeah, that for sure. For 3 more years. Calvin wants to know, when's the last time the Saints drafted a guard, not somebody that they slid from another position. Well, I mean, look, I know you mean not Cesar Ruiz, who was really a center, and I mean, Ruiz was a center, but he went into the draft considered to be a guard. Before that,
Nick Saldivari was a guard a couple years ago.
Yeah, maybe he means high in the draft. I don't know when it would be. When's the last? I mean, just look, in general, guards just don't get drafted early. They just don't get drafted early. So if you mean early in the first round, Gabe, if you want to look at that, like past recent, the last 20 years of Saints drafts or whatever, or just maybe AI it or whatever. See, when's the last time the Saints drafted a guard in the first or second round? Not Cesar Ruiz. We'll try to answer that question. But I mean, Ruiz again went into the draft. He was projected to be a guard when he went in. And actually, if the way you asked the question, honestly, so was Banks was projected to be a guard as well. But he could be a guard or a tackle. So Fuaga too in that grand scheme of things. So anyway,
yeah, I mean, I think, I know we're going back a ways, but I think LaCharles Bentley was like a.
Oh yeah, okay.
I mean, you're going back 25 years now, but that's. You're right. It doesn't happen often, and even around the NFL, the Saints are not alone in that. The Seahawks took Gray Zabel with like 19th, 20th pick last year, which ended up being a good pick.
Right.
I think he was the only pure guard taken in the first round.
Yeah.
So it's just not something like picking at number 8. No, you're not taking a guard there. Possibly second round, but even that is a lot of capital to put on a guard. When
it really is.
You sign a guy to a sort of shorter term contract, you could do a lot with 2 and 3 year deals while you still have Shuck on a rookie contract. Now, our conversation is going to shift, and it's early for this because I still think you need to see it for a little bit longer than 9 games. But at some point, you have to start planning for the Shuck extension too. If you do think he's the guy, that's going to come up sooner rather than later.
Lance, I hear you. I want Jeremiah Love too, but there is 0.0 chance they move Eric McCoy to right guard. He's one of the best centers in the NFL. I understand he's got injured 2 years in a row. You're not moving one of the best centers in the NFL to guard. Sorry, you're just not going to do that. So this is actually a really good year in free agent. It's a rare year where it's a good year to get guards. So they're not. I don't think they're going to draft. They're not going to draft a guard in the first round. The only way they would draft a guard in the first round is if they move down. It's not in the Saints' MO to move down. It ain't going to happen. They're going to go out in free agency and get one. And I think what's going to happen, and you and I have talked about this, I think what's going to happen is they're going to go out and get one of the best guards available in free agency, whoever that might be. And then they're going to probably just hold on to Ruiz for at least one more year and give him another year because they're paying him enough money to where they kind of have to.
100%. And the thing about Cesar Ruiz is he has shown it in his career that he can be not a great player, but an average player. And that's all you need. If you
Correct.
think that Kelvin Banks and Taliese Fuanga are your, bookend tackles of the future, which I think the Saints believe that. I have a few questions about Fuanga, especially health-wise. Can he hold up long-term? But if you believe the Saints believe that, and if that's the case, and you have a Pro Bowl center, again, with some health concerns, but if you believe you have those three spots, you can get away with average at guard.
Absolutely.
And Cesar Ruiz has shown in the recent past that he can be an average guard, and that's all you need. And so,
exactly. When you're not necessarily count on him as to be one of your best linemen, if he's like in the backdrop, when he had Ryan Ramczyk next to him on his right, he wasn't as bad, I don't think. So I'm not saying Cesar Ruiz is the long-term answer because I'm kind of surprised they paid him that money and they gave him that much of an extension. But I just think that the Saints are in a position to where you go get one of the best guards this year, and then you see what happens after that. And maybe you draft one in 27. We'll see. Kyle Sherman, good morning. Glad you're here checking in late up in Oregon today. I'm sure interesting weather up there. All right, let's move on. I want to talk about LSU before we get to the NFL playoffs and your thoughts about the college football championship game. But I don't know if you watched Inside LSU, Locked On LSU podcast or whatever it's called, but with Moscona. And he was talking about it. He spent about 15 minutes talking about the interesting thing where the wah, Ole Miss Rebel fans are saying that their old coach is sabotaging the Rebels, and they're really upset about it and boo-hoo. Meanwhile, there are Tigers coaches and Tigers playing going to Ole Miss, but they don't mind that. So anyway, have you seen this? Second of all, are you buying it?
I did not watch. I've seen enough rumors to know that it's at least a possibility. And I mean, like, I understand the way Ole Miss feels. I mean, put yourself in the shoes of an Ole Miss fan. Of course you would feel that way. Their coaches have been in your locker room for the last month, even though they're coaching one of your rivals. Of course you would feel that way. That, like, you'd say every player who left for Baton Rouge, you'd be like, damn it, I knew we shouldn't have let those guys stick around. Now, Ole Miss came really close to playing for a national championship on Monday, and that's a trade-off you take every time. But as far as like the players going, yeah, there probably was a little bit of sabotage. Like, I don't think it's
I don't care if there was anyway. I don't really care if there was anyway.
That's the thing is, like, Ole Miss fans can complain about it. They're the ones who said, yes, okay, please come coach our offense in the playoff because we want to win a national championship. And I think Charlie Weiss and his staff did a good job coaching the Ole Miss offense in the playoff. They did really well against Georgia. I thought they did.
I agree.
At least they struggled early against Miami, but by the end of the game, they were playing well. And I mean, like, this is what, and by the way, this should be a word of warning for LSU fans too. This is what you get when you sign up for Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is going to win games, and he is going to cause chaos. And if he's your coach, you love that chaos. And if he's not, you freaking hate it. And
he's going to stir the dog poop.
And then he's probably going to leave after 4 to 6 years and make a mess when he leaves. And like,
yes, he will.
if he wins a national championship in the next 4 to 6 years, LSU fans will take that trade-off when he inevitably leaves for the NFL.
And
I
then
don't.
they'll
Maybe
be pissy.
mature.
They'll be pissy
Yeah.
about him too when he's done.
But and that's why I say Ole Miss fans like, yeah, you're probably right. But guess what? You hired Lane Kiffin. That's what you signed up for.
Right. By the way, Lance, real quick, once talking about Eric McCoy, once is an anomaly, twice is a trend. I don't necessarily agree with that. I know that it happens in back-to-back seasons, but we've seen players get injured in back-to-back seasons before, and then they're okay. And McCoy cannot be counted on to hold up. He's 30 plus. He's not 30 plus. He's 27 years old or 28 years old. So you got to protect Chuck. Again, he's one of the top 10 centers in the NFL, in my opinion, and he's getting paid like it. He got an extension in 22 that I think lasts through 27. He's going to be the center. So there we go. Moving on. All right. Let's talk a little bit about the portal. Sabotage. By the way, I don't care. My answer to this is I don't care if there's sabotage. I mean, if he is, good for him. I mean, what do you want him to do? I mean, you're now the enemy. So he's supposed to try to just like you're trying to sabotage other teams in the SEC. Good for you if he is. I'm glad he is. That's what he's doing. Go sabotage. I mean, as long as it's within the legal boundaries.
Right. Maybe we should be careful about what word we use, because I don't want to make it seem like Lane Kiffin is out there.
I mean, does sabotage mean that you're doing something illegal?
Every college football coach bends the rules. Okay. That's not just a Lane Kiffin thing.
So do most high school coaches, by the way.
Yeah, that's every coach. Okay. They bend the rules because if they don't, they're going to fall behind all the coaches who are. So that, yes. But I'm not suggesting Lane Kiffin is doing anything out and out, against the rules or above and beyond what anybody else is doing. It was a very strange situation that his coaches were coaching in Oxford and before they came to LSU staff while they were recruiting for LSU. But Ole Miss signed up for that.
Right.
You can't complain about it when you were the one who agreed to have it.
I mean, you're lucky he stayed that long. Honestly. I mean, I never, if you would have told me when he went there that he was going to stay 6 years, I would have told you were crazy. I never thought he was going to stay there 6 years. And so he stayed probably longer. And look, he got you. He helped. He was one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, why you got somewhere you've never been before and maybe never will go again. Sorry, Rebels. But that's just my opinion. So,
and I mean, I think he raised the profile of that school, so they will be better, at least in the short term. And I like Pete Golding, by the way. I think Pete Golding is a good coach, and I think they will continue to be successful. Maybe not at the same level, but I think Lane Kiffin left that place in a much better spot than he found.
I've been outward clear. My opinion on this has been said millions of times, maybe not millions, but dozens of times. I am not a Lane Kiffin fan. I think this is going to end poorly. However, there's no question that what you just said is true, that he might have left in an ugly manner. He might have spilled something on his way out the door, but there's no question that he left Ole Miss a better place than when he got there. Zero question that's true, that he brought Ole Miss to another level. All right, talking about the portal, and now as I go in, the last show we had, I think there were 27 players that LSU signed out of the portal. The number, according to the LSU insiders, is now 32. And my big question this morning, I want to talk about a couple guys in particular, including Sam Levitt. But speaking about Sam Levitt, how many quarterbacks are they going to sign? How many do they need?
Hey, man, if they want to come and they're willing to come, you take them. And I'll tell you why. Because at least one of those guys transfers out a year from now. That's just the way college football works.
Well, Levitt's going to be in the NFL, I think.
Well, maybe. He might leave for the NFL. But if he decides to come back, does Hassan Longstreet say, whoa, I came here to be a starter after a year, and now you're telling me Sam Levitt's coming back? I'm out. Landon Clark probably doesn't want to be on the bench his entire career. He may transfer out. Like, you got to take these guys. The kid from Evangel Christian in Shreveport, Pop. I can't think of his name.
Yeah. He threw for like 4,000 yards, something stupid.
Does he leave if he sees Longstreet's got 4 years of eligibility left? Landon Clark has 3. Sam Levitt has 2. If 2 of those 3 guys stick around next year, does Pop Houston stay? I don't think so. He probably looks at it and says, I'm never going to play here. I need to go somewhere where I can play. And so if the quarterbacks are going to leave every year that they're not playing, you keep bringing more in and just let the numbers figure themselves out.
Right. By the way, Pop Houston, as a sophomore in 2024, threw for 4,500 yards. And he is listed as the top-ranked pocket passer in ESPN's junior class. There you go. Pop Houston, and LSU commit at the moment. No, I hear you. I'm not
an offensive lineman, Jim, just now. Baylor's Sean Tompkins has committed to LSU.
Okay. And to go with Jamar Jones, who was at Nichols before. So, and then they signed another lineman in the portal that we were talking about the other day. Not Darren. Was it Darren Stray, who's 6'7"?
Yeah, from Kentucky. Is that the one?
No, it's Kentucky. Kentucky. Yep.
It's hard to keep them all straight, but that's another spot where they're just throwing numbers at the problem. You're just throw numbers at the problem. You need to find 3 of those guys who can start, and you got to figure out which ones. But
Jamar Jones, who again we're just talking about, went to Nichols, 6'4", 295. He also went to Rummel, so they're signing some guys. Another position. How about wide receiver? How many wide receivers is this team going to sign? I mean, wide receiver, they got what, 9 of them in the portal? I mean, this is crazy.
Can I go Ferris Bueller on you? How many times did LSU get a commitment from a wide receiver? 9 times. 9 times.
At least it's not 6 or 7.
With all the guys transferred out, they had one wide receiver and no scholarship quarterbacks on this roster. And now here we are insane. A week later, and they've got 10 wide receivers and 3 quarterbacks. And
I'd say 5 or 6 of them are like 5 or 6 of them are pretty darn good. I mean, you look at them like, wow, okay, that's interesting. It's going to be quite an interesting wide receiver battle in the fall.
I mean, these guys come here because they see an opportunity. So last year we thought they had gotten some pretty good wide receivers out of the portal. Neither Nick Anderson nor Barrion Brown really turned into what we thought they could be.
Right.
So they're going to try it again in a new offense.
All right, Ryan, I'll give you this one. I don't hardly ever do this, especially on the show, but go Rummel Raiders. That's really tough for me to do as a Shaw grad. All right. What about the tight end, Zach Grace, who's really more of a blocking tight end? Matt was talking about him last night. I kind of listened to him. The interesting prospect, kind of an H-back tight end type, not going to catch a lot of passes, but you already have Trey Green anyway. But this is a guy who come in and be a key to maybe helping the running game.
Well, you have Bauer Sharp and you have Trey Green and you have Bauer Sharp, right? Who has shown that he can both block and catch some passes. So you really just needed depth at that position. And it's interesting. I wonder if there'll be any 3 tight end sets out there.
It could be.
Just kind of a reminder that Lane Kiffin has a reputation as this high flying, fireworks offensive coordinator. The base of his offense, like most good offenses, is the running game. He's going to want to run the ball. His run scheme works. He's proven that. And I think that, adding a blocking tight end is just another sign that that's what he plans to do in Baton Rouge as well.
The portal closes today, I believe. Is that correct?
It does. It closes at midnight tonight. That does not mean that there won't be more signs. Correct.
Because they don't have to announce where they're going. They just have to declare that they're in the portal by today.
Correct. And the Indiana and Miami players get next week. They get 5 days after the game ends on Monday. There could still be some from those schools entering next week. But for the most part, whoever is
maybe
in
Carson
tonight,
Beck will go to LSU. No, I don't think he's even eligible.
That's who's in. And maybe Fernando Mendoza. No.
Exactly.
And so whoever's in tonight is basically who's going to be in. But they can sign as long as the school signing them is able to enroll them in classes and all of that. So.
Yeah, well, we'll see how they go. Do you expect I think LSU's probably still going to get a few more, right?
Yeah, man. I mean, they had, I believe, 33 who have transferred out. And with the addition of this lineman Tompkins from Baylor, that's 33 in. So they're right on where they were. I wouldn't be surprised if they add a couple more. I do think they're probably done for the most part.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. And Gabe wants to add when we get done with this segment here, but we're gonna save the NFL playoffs for last, and I'm gonna let you make your picks. And obviously, our pick'ems all deal with the NFL playoffs, so I'm probably not gonna give too much opinion in that, although maybe a little bit. We'll see. College football playoffs, championship game Monday night, 6:30 on a bunch of the networks owned by Disney. You know who they all are. Indiana is that god dadgummit. That's supposed to be -7.5 over the U. What are your thoughts of this game?
I think that people are a little bit high on Indiana because of the way they stomped Oregon. But we have to remember Oregon just simply gave them a couple of those touchdowns early in that game with the turnovers. Miami's probably not going to do that. I think this is a close game. I think Indiana wins. If I had to choose on the spread, I would take Miami. I think it's, if you want to bet it, kind of if there's an NFL game you like, there's a teaser possibility here. Tease Indiana down to -1.5 and combine it with, say you like Seattle -1.5 in the NFL or Buffalo +7.5. I mean, there's possibilities.
Seattle minus what? Side. Oh, you mean with the teaser? Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Okay. It's
but yeah, I think this game will be closer. Miami's, their defensive line is playing so well that's the key matchup. Is how does Indiana's offensive line, which has been phenomenal, how do they stand up against that Miami pass rush and run stuff?
I'm going to tell you, and I don't want to give any spoiler alerts, but how about this under? I think both of these defenses have been fantastic.
I don't hate it. I don't, because Miami is going to try to shorten the game. They're going to run the ball a lot. They'll use Malachi Toney in different ways, but mostly it's going to be running and short passing. And Indiana, doesn't mind playing that kind of game. The only thing I worry about is that both offenses do have a little bit of big play potential. And at some point you have to just say it's not. Usually we talk about, a team that forces a bunch of turnovers, it's a little bit fluky and they can't count on it. But Indiana just does it every week. And we could talk about the Bears. They do it every week too. So at some point it's not a fluke.
Chris says Miami's too physical. They will bust the Hoosiers in the mouth. I hope you're right, Chris, because like I told y'all before, I bought a $2 future on Miami at 60-1, and I can't even hedge it now because Indiana's like -350. You can't hedge with the -350. I'm hoping that Miami jumps out to a lead, and then I get a better hedge, like maybe a -150. Then I could add something.
Miami takes a 7-0 lead, and you get -170 or something.
Yeah, something like that, and then I'm jumping all over it. Apathy says depends on which Beck shows up. Charles says Indiana by 3. I'll get to you in a minute, Dylan. So people are all over the place, but I found it interesting that the line opened at 7. It opened at 7, went quickly to 7.5, and then jumped to 8.5, but now it's back to 7.5. So I think people they tested the edge, and the edge was 8.5, came back down to 7.5.
And also keep in mind, as we get closer to games, the limits go up. So the movement closer to game time is more meaningful in these things than the early movement. I think probably early you had a lot of people who were fresh off watching Indiana just blitz Oregon and say, "Oh my God, this is the best team in the country." Click the button, click the button, click the button. And then later on, people are going, no, hold on. They're not going to get 2 free touchdowns in this game. It's not going to be the same game script. Look at what Miami's done on its defensive line. 8.5's way too many. And I wonder if there's even people who had, you got an Indiana -7 and a Miami +8.5. Like I could see people for a bigger limit. And you're hoping for a 7 or 8 point game. I don't know.
Yeah, I always thought bet those things, and I know the high rollers do that kind of shit, but that just seems to me like you're just wasting juice to me. I get what you're trying to do. It just doesn't seem like the value on trying to hit that number. Why wouldn't you just bet that number? Well, bet a little bit less on that. I don't know.
I think the limit for the really big fish, it has to do with the limits. If you're a respected player who's going to play big time money, if you put the lower limit on Indiana, then you might make that line move, even though you really feel like Miami's the bet. You come back and you get Miami at 1.5 higher and put a much bigger bet on Miami. Then you're essentially betting on Miami because you have more on Miami, but you also have the possibility of a 7 or 8 point game, and you could win both bets. So
you also have probably were people out there. I would imagine there are many people like me who bet a lot more than I did, who said that number, that 60-1 number. And you know me, I like values, and when I spot a value, even if I don't necessarily think it's going to happen, I'm going to bet on it. And so I think there are probably a lot of people who saw value in Miami at 60-1, or even later on at 30 or 40-1, and are holding on futures tickets. And they're like, and the books were like, nah, we'd rather just eat a little bit, you know? So that's kind of my thing. I think
maybe, but I mean, Indiana had to be 30-40-1 at the beginning of the season also. And there may be some liability on that end. I don't know.
Dylan, I want to say thank you to the comment. And if you don't know what Dylan's talking about, it's what I talked about early in the morning with my discount, with my Dattitude. Call it the discount. My Dattitude double chin. Again, it was meant as an insult, and I may use it as the theme for this show and on merch. We're going to see what happens. He says he's late, but he's here. He's appreciating the show and saying Dattitude for life. We appreciate you, Dylan. Thank you so much. There are people out there that can appreciate a good opinion, even if they don't necessarily agree with it, and that's what we do here. All right, I'm going to save most. I gave you a little bit of a preview of what I think, but I agree with a lot of what you said. I just think this is going to be a hard-hitting, interesting game. If I had to pick right now, well, I'd like to hedge if I could, like I said, but I don't think it's going to be a blowout. But I've said that before, and Indiana's proven me wrong. So it's hard.
Jim,
it's hard to not think they're
consider,
really good.
Without giving away your NFL picks, I mean, one way you could consider hedging is like a money line parlay with Indiana and Seattle or New England or whichever favorite in the NFL you think you're most sure is going to win. And obviously you could get screwed if there's an upset in the NFL, but
Right.
That would be one way to hedge.
Oh, you mean do it with a teaser?
A teaser or just a money line parlay.
Well, I don't really like the teaser aspect of it because the teaser, you'd have to do a 6.5 point teaser to get it to 14. Because I do not like the 13.5 doesn't do anything for me.
Wait.
As my light's going out.
You would tease Indiana. You would tease them down to 1.5.
Oh, tease them down to 1.5.
As a hedge.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe, you know what? That's not a bad idea.
Or just a money line parlay.
And I haven't done a teaser all year, but that's actually not a bad idea. It's a thought. UBN $20 super chat. Thank you so much. He's starting the Dattitude Double Chin Shirt Fund, and he likes that the Z is a nice touch for Zach. That's your Zephyr Ewing today.
That is why I bought this hat, but I also like supporting the old New Orleans baseball team.
At least you didn't buy a Baby Cakes hat because
can I tell a real quick story about this hat?
Please.
So
Please do.
I was in Germany shortly after I bought it. My brother got married in 2022. This was just a few months after the war in Ukraine started. And my brother was having a bachelor party, and we were walking around Munich and having a good time. And I was wearing this hat. And one of my brother's German friends says something to him, and he translates and turns around to me and says, "Hey, the Z is apparently a symbol of support for Russia in the war in Ukraine among Germans." And so I said, "Oh shit, I got to take this hat off." So I had hat head the rest of the day, but
okay.
I feel like I'm okay wearing it here.
Weird. Yeah, I don't think anyone here is gonna think of that.
No one here makes that connection, but in Germany, it was apparently a big deal.
Okay, well, yeah, that's weird. All right, I'm gonna Phil. When are we gonna start talking about reviewing the Tulane portal when they actually do something that's worth talking about? I mean, if they do something that's noteworthy, I'll talk about it, but they haven't really done anything, in my opinion, that's noteworthy. So I don't know. I mean, they're going to need to sign a quarterback. They haven't done that yet, to my knowledge, have they? You know, I don't think they have. So, all right, let's move along, little doggy, and talk about them NFL playoffs. And as I do, I will show Daryl Hayden. Thank you so much. Good morning. Actually, good afternoon now. You've been at the DMV. Apathy is getting right into it. He says San Fran might upset Seattle. Darnold having tweaked his oblique, listed as questionable. That means they're just putting his name on the injury report. I think everyone would be shocked if Sam Darnold doesn't play. UBN says the Tulane. That's right. The Tulane. I've been called in the last 2 weeks now, the last few weeks, Dattitude double chin and a Tulane blow boy. There's that. Oh, I forgot. By the way, hold on real quick. Let me go back to this real quick before we start NFL. Gabe wanted to ask you a question, so go ahead.
I had a question for Zach because Zach's the only one who will understand what I'm getting at with this question. I've seen a lot of people recently call Indiana the biggest underdog story in sports if they win the title.
Hoosiers,
I
baby.
have a different opinion. Zach,
Oh.
I know you know what I'm referring to. Do you agree with me or the people?
Leicester City in the 2014.
I brought you on for this crap.
Jim,
come on.
Guess what Leicester City's odds to win the championship were that year? Just throw a guess out, and they won it.
Okay, here's my guess. And I'm going to give the same guess. I'm going to give the same guess that I'm imagining most of the Dattitude family would give. Here's my guess. Who gives a shit? It's
a discussion about the biggest underdog. They were 5,000 to 1 to win the title, and it cashed. 5,000 to 1. That's legitimate.
I think that's what Ted Lasso was to win Coach of the Year.
I'll rope in another thing. I don't think Indiana's as big an underdog story as the Miracle on Ice either.
You believe in miracles?
If Indiana had won the title last year, it would be up there. But the fact that they built it for a year, they weren't. I mean, look, nobody thought they were going to win it this year, but they were ranked like 20th preseason, right? Like it wasn't like it came completely.
They were ranked preseason, yeah.
All right, are y'all done talking about soccer?
They were plus 10,000.
Are you letting Gabe do a World Cup preview show, Jim?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be the first Dattitude ever that I'm not on. He's going to do it He's going to do it all by himself. Good for him.
Come on for a World Cup preview.
There'll be 3 viewers. Go for it. Actually, who knows? Maybe it'll blow up and we'll become big. All right, I'll see you in a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Leicester City. Give me a GD break.
5,000 to 1.
I mean, really?
I think
that's what I brought.
We got a book up here about it.
The back of his head.
Look at that.
But you don't do that on the Saints Insiders. All right, Rob Tanner just got a plug.
No one questions me about soccer on the Saints Insiders.
Well, we'll tell you what I question. So Rob Lester or whatever the hell his name was, I just saw it and forgot it already. Calls himself the chief football writer. It's not football, it's soccer. Soccer. Anyway, let's move on and talk about football. NFL football. The playoffs. I know I said last week was my favorite weekend of football because, it starts Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, okay? But this is probably the best week. If last week was my favorite weekend, this is the best weekend of football. It's Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. You get divisional round. You find out who's going to the conference championship games, and you find out who wins the college football championship itself. I'm over the moon excited. My wife probably isn't, but I am over the moon excited about this weekend of football.
I agree with you, and it's for a couple of reasons. For one thing, it's, as you said, it's the last like wall-to-wall Saturday and Sunday.
It's sad. It's bittersweet.
Multiple games. And then there's some sadness, but at least, with the Super Bowl, you're like, oh, it's over. We got 7 months of no football now. At least with this, you're like, okay, it's over, but we still got conference championship Sunday to come and the Super Bowl to come. Like you still have something to hold on to. And so that part of it is when you're watching Rams Bears Sunday night, you can still be like, all right, this weekend's over, but we got a good Sunday coming up too. So,
yep. Jerry's here. Good afternoon, Jerry. We welcome you. And we're happy to see you. St. Louis Obispo Houdat says Miracle on Ice was college amateurs versus Russian professionals who had beaten them 10-3 the week before Madison Square Garden. College hockey, when it was amateur. Amateurs don't play no more.
But I believe I could be wrong about this, Jim, but I feel like I've read somewhere that the U.S. was like 12 to 1 in that game. I mean, they were huge.
They weren't Leicester City.
It wasn't what we're talking about with. I mean, there's bigger than 12
Did
to 1.
You bet on Leicester City that year? I mean,
no.
I mean, you did win $100,000.
There were people who did, though. There were people who they were just fans and they would put 5 pounds down on their team every year just to say they did it, and they cashed 25,000 pounds.
Well, you won $100,000 once, and I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express once. All right, I'm looking at the games this weekend. Is there anything that jumps out at you? Any lines that you jump out? Only there's one home underdog, and that is the Chicago Bears. The rest of the home teams are all favored. One of them very significantly, another one fairly significantly. Your thoughts?
This is the point where betting lines are so good and so tight that it is really difficult to find an edge. And I'm sure the sports books love that because everybody wants to bet on the big games, but it's tough at this time of year, man. You're not finding
It is tough.
lines that are off
It is
at this time of year. And so that makes it really difficult unless you think you have some sort of a matchup that tilts the game in one team's favor or the other. But the only line movements you see are based on injury information and like weather.
Haven't been much.
So it's tough, man. So I just look at these lines and I did place one bet, and I'll tell you what that is after if you want to go through some of the games, but I've only placed one bet this weekend.
We'll go through it in a minute.
Sorry, I placed two bets. I placed two.
The only line movement of note is the Seahawks went back from -7.5. They are now -7 again. They went to 7.5 probably because the news. I mean, we all knew Kittle was going to be out for the year, but the official news early in the week, it immediately went from 7 to 7.5, and then it went back to 7. And maybe it has to do with Darnold being questionable with his oblique injury. I don't know. And then the Bills and Broncos swapped spots. Basically, it was even money tilted towards the Bills, and now it's basically even money and tilted towards the Broncos. So there's that. I don't know. Anyway,
yeah,
that's the only line move.
Were the Rams 4.5 to start the week?
No, they were. That one has been steady. That one stayed 3.5. All right, let's start with the first. Let's just go in chronological order here. Bills at Broncos, basically an even game here. Your thoughts?
So you're gonna we've laughed at each other all year for being square. I like all four favorites, man, this weekend. And that's part of why I'm like, I'm not gonna bet. I don't necessarily like all four against the spread, but I do think the top two seeds win. And I heard you say, you don't think the Broncos can get it done. This is such an advantageous spot for them. Think about, and this applies to the Seahawks game as well. Both number one seeds are not only coming off the bye, but they're playing teams that had to play Sunday. So it's short week, double travel spots. Buffalo was in Jacksonville last week, had to go back to Buffalo, now to Denver. Same thing with San Francisco, had to go all the way out to Philly. Now they're on the road again on a short week. Denver hasn't had a home playoff game in 10 years. That place is going to be juiced. It's just a really, really bad spot for Buffalo. That doesn't mean Josh Allen can't be super and just drag the team on his back, but he's also got no weapons, man. They lost another receiver to injury. They're rolling Brandon Cooks out there as like their WR2. They got no weapons to deal with this defense. Now, Khalil Shakir's having a good year, but I assume Surtain just kind of follows him. And then what are the Bills going to do?
This game is in my best bet, so I'm not going to go too far in the weeds, but it's not the spread. The total is in my best bets, given a spoiler alert. I will just say this. I almost picked Denver here in my best bets. And the reason why is part of the reason why is because I've been so bad lately, and I'm just going to pick whatever's up is down. But I agree with everything you just said. I just think this is not the greatest spot for Buffalo going on the road 2 weeks in a row, this time across the country. Denver's defense has been good. All the things you talk about. So how much can James Cook do? And the Broncos rushing defense is second best in the NFL. So, I mean, that's going to cause a scene. By the way, I'm sorry. My one of my lights went out here, so it went a little dark, but I agree with you. So I think this is going to be an interesting game for sure. I wish it were on Sunday. I wish they would have put Houston, New England here. No offense to Texans and Patriots fans, but I think this would have been a better game for Sunday. That would have been a much better Sunday for me.
All things being equal, I'd agree with you, but Houston played Monday. They weren't going to do that.
Yeah, no. I understand. I'm just saying I would rather see Bills Broncos. I completely agree. You can't. That would have been completely unfair to the Texans. I'm just saying to me, the two best games, I don't even think it's close in my opinion. I think the two best games are Bills Broncos and Rams Bears. I'm not saying I don't care about Texans Patriots. I'm going to watch it, of course, but okay. Whoever wins that game. Well, anyway, I don't want to give too much away. All right, moving on. The first NFC game is Saturday at 7 p.m. The beat-up Niners are going to Seattle to play the mostly healthy Seahawks, although word now coming out about Sam Darnold potential injury. Total of 44.5. Your thoughts?
This is one of the bets that I made. I took the Niners plus 7.5.
Which is
just
now
because
plus 7.
I think that they can keep it close. Having said that, I think Seattle wins the game. And you just look back at a couple weeks ago. This is another team in San Francisco that the injuries have just caught up with this team. You add George Kittle to the list. Fred Warner, I guess he could be back for the NFC Championship game if they make it. And part of me in my head is like, man, if the Niners could go to Seattle and win and then get Fred Warner back, part of me wants to put a couple bucks on the Niners to win the Super Bowl, because I feel like if they do that, if they could somehow beat Seattle and get Warner back, they would be very live to win the whole thing. They usually play the Rams pretty well if that's who they play. They just beat the 49ers a couple weeks ago. I mean, so that's one thought I have, but I do think just for this week, that Seattle defense is mean, man. And the Niners are down weapons. I mean, look at that.
49ers plus 2,000 if they win this week. If they make
almost
the upset.
feel like you're almost getting 20-1 on the 49ers just to win this game. Because if they somehow do, I think they're very live to win the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. I think I got to be honest. I think they go to probably plus 500 if they win, maybe plus 400 if they win this game. So if you like the Niners at all,
at Chicago, they might be favored. I don't know if they wouldn't be favored at LA, but and I think that they're probably favored over maybe any of the AFC teams in the Super Bowl. So I think there's like, I don't hate that, just because I think if Kyle Shanahan,
think it's worth a bet.
Could script something up. My only hesitation is like, if Kyle Shanahan had a way to scheme this Seattle defense, he would have done it 2 weeks ago in the biggest game of the season and gotten himself the number 1 seed.
Well, they won the first one though.
Yeah, but that was week 1. That was a long time ago.
At Seattle.
And Seattle also had like 4 turnovers in that game or something, I think. So that's the other thing is, like, I have a 14-1 ticket on Seattle to win the Super Bowl, and I worry about Darnold. Like, Darnold we saw it in the playoffs last year with Minnesota. He just has these games where he loses his head. If you can get a little bit of pressure on him, he'll start throwing the ball all over the place. So ultimately, I just took the big spread. I don't know that the Niners can win, but I took the spread.
UBN says Purdy is 4-0 at Seattle. At the last time San Francisco lost in Seattle was 2021. Just note of the day. Charles, Texans Pats, the best game? You're insane. There's no way that's the best game. I mean, it may end up being best game. That's of the 4 I want to watch. If God came down and said, Jim Derry, you can only watch 3 of these 4 games, I don't hesitate. I'm going to lunch Sunday at 2, and I'll be back at 5 o'clock to watch the Rams and Bears. I mean, there's no question that's the one that I'm missing if I have to miss one. Just saying. No offense to anybody, but I think that's going to be kind of like a little bit like the Chargers Patriots game.
I am going to miss that one, actually, because or at least most of it, my son is playing in his middle school soccer championship for the Baton Rouge area at 3:00 on Sunday. So I will be out freezing my tail off. That's
what you got TV on your phone for. All right, let's move on to that game. Texans getting 3 at New England. Texans defense playing fantastically. They were wonderful last week on a Monday night. It is a short week for them. New England coming off of a game in which they just dominated the Chargers. This is an interesting matchup. A low total of 40.5. What do you like here?
I like the Patriots. I'm not super convinced. I didn't place a bet on it. The Texans, man, I don't know. I know they ended up winning that game 30-6, but what's CJ Stroud's deal with these snaps? Like, he fumbled 5 times. I just don't. I can't trust him. I do
think he's going to do that again, though. Do you?
No, I don't. But at the same time, I also think that the Patriots offense is much more capable of, the Texans pass rush so aggressive, all those sorts of things. They're gonna sack Drake May some, but
Right.
I think May also hits them for some big plays. And I worry a little bit about if they fall behind, this becomes very, very difficult for the Texans.
This game is not in my picks at all, so I can talk about what I think. Excuse, what'd you say?
I was just gonna say if I had to bet something, I think I'd actually bet the over.
If I had to make a pick, I would take New England -3. I don't love it. I'm certain I'll bet something on this game because I'm a degenerate and I can't help myself. But Lance, I know Gabe's going to disagree. No, Nico, I think that's a problem. I think that's the way. I think CJ Stroud, the fact that he's still young and coming off of a game like that, I think it could affect his mentality a little bit, the way he thinks. We'll see. Again, don't feel strongly about it. I might even like the under more than I like the Patriots. So if I were forced to make a pick here, I would probably take the under. But again, I don't love it. So I do think it's going to be a hard hitting game. I think both of these defenses are very good. Obviously, the Texans have been the best defense in the NFL all year long. And so to me, the storyline of this game is, can Drake May do something against the Texans defense? Because, like Gabe said the other day, he wasn't great against the Chargers. I mean, is he going to have another game like he had last week? So there's lots of questions in this game. Don't get me wrong. Again, I am not that I know of. I think I can watch all four. I plan on watching all four, and I'm looking forward to it. But this is the one that I'm, I guess, least interested in, and certainly the one I will bet the least on because I'm unsure about this one.
I think Seattle.
For the record,
best defense. I think Seattle's got the best. I put Texans at number 2 behind Seattle, but
don't tell it to Gabe.
It's close enough. I mean, whatever. But I just think both quarterbacks bounce back a little bit. I think the Texans defense is going way up in class when you go from Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers to Drake May and the Patriots. And so I like the over here, and I lean New England, at least on the money line. I don't know about the spread.
Charles not feeling well. We will see you on Monday, my friend. We will still have Mono E Monday. UBN says Gabe's face is so red. He said he doesn't care. Well. Apathy says CJ looked like he had too many monsoons from Portacalls the other night. Don't go to Portacalls, man. Did you see the thing about the rats at Portacall? I guess I shouldn't call them out. Just stay away from Portacall. I'm just saying. Go Google it. Rats at Portacalls. It was not pretty. All right, lastly. All right, this is the one that I'm looking forward to most. This is the one that I think is going to be the most fun. Not that the other ones aren't going to be fun. But Rams, a 3.5-point favorite on the road against the Bears. I have a question for you, Zach Ewing, a trivia question. Do you know that the last time that a home team was a home team in the playoffs was an underdog in back-to-back games? I'm not sorry, not back-to-back games. I need to say this. I need to say it a different way. The last time that a home team was an underdog in the playoffs twice in the same postseason. I'll say it that way because I'm not sure it was back-to-back weeks.
That's a really good question. Let's see. Was it Jacksonville a few years ago?
It was not, and I'll give you a hint. This team won the Super Bowl.
They were underdogs.
I didn't know what it was.
Twice, and they wound up winning. Because my other thought was one of those Mike Vrabel.
Go ahead and answer it in the chat if you want. I'm going to give it like 20 more seconds and give you a chance to think. I'll come back to it. So if you want to guess in the chat without cheating, can't cheat, no cheating. The last time that a team was an underdog twice in the same postseason. So you know that they covered once because they had 2 of them. So it had to have happened before. Gabe guesses the Saints. It was not the Saints.
I'm going to throw a guess out there. Was it the Broncos who beat the Panthers in the Super Bowl? That Broncos team?
It was not the Broncos that beat the Panthers in Super Bowl 50. Let's see. Apathy says Stafford versus the Fighting Dennis Allens. McVay about to cook. Brian is guessing the Giants with Eli. It was not the Giants. It's a tough one, man. It's a tough. It was not one that when I saw this, I wouldn't have expected it. I would not have expected it. Okay. Just talk. I'll come back. Y'all can keep guessing if you want because I'll answer the question before Zach goes off here. But just tell me your thoughts about this game.
Yeah, it should be a really good one. I do think that comment about McVay versus Dennis Allen, we've all seen it firsthand how Dennis Allen's defenses have matched up with these McVay offenses. Usually not very good.
Right.
Having said that, same thing I said with Indiana. At some point, the Bears forcing a bunch of turnovers is not a fluke. I think this game, I would love the over in this thing, except for the fact that it's going to be so freaking cold and blustery there. Do you know that it's like $3,000 to get a ticket for this thing? Like that's the cheap seats.
You're kidding.
People are paying thousands of dollars.
Fans are fired up.
They are going to go freeze their body parts off, man.
It is going to be super cold. It's going to be like wind chills below zero. It'll be like 20-mile-an-hour winds.
Yeah, my take is if Stafford in particular and the rest of the Rams offense can deal with the cold, they will win this game. I think if the Bears win, it's because Stafford doesn't look like himself, whether it's because of the cold, whether it's because of this finger injury he has, maybe both. I mean, having a sprained finger in 0-degree temperatures cannot feel good. So, maybe that has a role to play. But I think the Rams will be able to run the ball on the Bears. I think the Rams will be able to pass the ball on the Bears. I think the only difference, the Packers were moving the ball well on the Bears last week. The difference is the Rams won't stop scoring. So if this does turn into a Bears comeback attempt, it goes way over that total and turns into a shootout. But I lean Rams here. Like I said, I like all four favorites to advance. I wish the weather was a little better because then I would love Rams -3.5. But that does give me some pause. And the Bears just have this voodoo, man. They're winning all of these games that they have no business winning. So I hate to bet against that too.
That voodoo that you do. I actually sort of semi like I won't bet this because I don't have the cojones, but I semi like the under, especially in that cold weather. And not necessarily because it's going to be super cold, because players will tell you in general that cold doesn't affect their game, although in this case, I think it's got to because it'd be that cold. But players will tell you it's not the cold, it's the wind. It's not the cold, it's not precipitation, it's not snow. Cold doesn't affect them as much as wind does, and it's going to be super windy. So you're gonna get the, it's gonna be like 5 to 10 degrees, and it's gonna be 20-mile-an-hour winds. No, thank you. I know you being jokes with me. Even I don't like that. I like cold, but I don't like that crap. I'm just saying. The answer to the trivia question, I'm going to go through some of these answers here. It was not the Patriots in 2002. It was not the Cardinals, Ryan. It was not the Ravens with Flacco. It was not the Seattle Seabags. And we have one and Gabe, it was not the Chiefs' first ring. There's one right answer. By default, it's sort of like you didn't tell me when or even about when, but you are correct, Mr. J. Hamilton. It was Philadelphia. It was the 2017 season. It was January of 2018 when they defeated the Atlanta Falcons as an underdog, 15-10 in the divisional round. And then the next week, so it was back-to-back weeks, they defeated the Minnesota Vikings 38-7 as an underdog. So there are your answers. Phil's guessing Patriots.
How'd the Vikings get to that game, Jim?
F off, pal.
That's a question for everybody. The Saints would have beat the Eagles, I think.
This is 0.0 question. Anyway, and the reason why you couldn't remember the year, Mr. J. Hamilton, is because you're like me. You put it out of your memory, and you didn't want to remember it, and I don't blame you. Yep, sorry, Lance. At least I didn't say DC, pal. I mean, just saying that is we have facts on this show. Bill says the Rams win the Chili Bowl. It's going to be pretty good. Apathy says the Rams played pretty well in the snow last year in Philly. We'll see if they can play pretty well in 0 degrees. Zach, any final thoughts before we move on? And you had to ruin Saints fans Friday, didn't you?
Yeah, sorry, guys. It was a great game. No, I don't think we. I think I've covered all of my strong opinions. The Mets signed Bo Bichette.
You even got to talk about Leicester City on this show.
That's right. I covered everything. The Mets signed Bo Bichette while we were talking, so the Dodgers don't get everybody.
They get most 42 million. That's insane. Oh, I there was one other thing I want to answer. There's a reason why I made this slide. Okay, so we talk about 49ers real quick. Futures. You see any value on this futures list? Real quick for people who are listening after the fact. I know not everybody can see this chart. Seahawks plus 270. They haven't changed since the other day. Rams plus 320. Patriots plus 600. Bills plus 650. Broncos plus 700. Texans plus 850. Bears plus 1,600. 49ers plus 2,000. And to me, if you want to bet any of these, now's the time, because I think there's very little. You're going to see after this week's over, there's going to be very little value. If the Seahawks win, they're going to go to like plus 150. You're not going to bet it. The Rams win, they're going to go to like plus 175. You're not going to bet that. So is there any value in, even like we talked about the 49ers, they'd probably go to like plus 400. If I gave you, and I'm going to do the same with the rest of the crew here. If I gave you 20 Jim Derry fake bucks, what are you using that $20 to bet on futures here?
I mean, I already have a Seahawks bet. Do I get to account for that?
You got 23 Derry Bucks, and you can do whatever the hell you. In fact, I'm going to keep track of this.
14 to 1 on the Seahawks, so I'll leave them alone. And I think I would put a couple dollars on the 49ers, because I do think if they win this week.
You mean $2? Two of your $20?
Two of my $20, yeah.
Yeah, okay. You said a couple. I'm just making sure that you actually meant two.
Two of my 20. Then I think I would I'll put 6 each on the Patriots and Broncos, because I think it's likely that one of them at least makes the Super Bowl.
Okay.
And I'll have a pretty good shot, as far as hedging that day. And then that leaves me, 6 more bucks. I'll put that on the Rams, because I think they're the best team left.
Okay. Quo Vadis is saying she would use her Derry Bucks all on the Seahawks at plus 270. She's all in on Sam Darnold and company. So you got $2 on the Niners.
Between my Seahawks bet.
Yeah. $2 on the Niners. You got $6
on Rams, Patriots, Broncos.
Okay. Gabe
I would almost be guaranteed of making money if I did that.
Gabe is going to keep track, and we are going to revisit right after the Super Bowl and see how we did. And judging by the attendance, it won't be me who wins anything with my fake Derry Bucks, because I've been absolutely horrendous as of late. Hopefully it'll be better. Zach Ewing, we will see you next Friday for a preview of the championship edition on the Dattitude podcast.
All right. See you then.
By the way, what's the name of your son's team, so we can say go whatever?
It's just PSC, Pard Soccer Club. They're the Lions, though. You can say go Lions.
Go PSC. I can't say go Lions. That just doesn't work for me.
Pards is Parks and Recreation of Denham Springs. So they're the Pards Soccer Club.
Yeah, I can't say that either. Go PSC. See you Friday. Zach Ewing, everyone. Oh, Lordy. All right. Well, we're going to get to the Pick'em crew in just a minute. I'm sorry for the fuzziness on the bottom left of the screen that maybe you didn't notice before. But again, my light over here went out in the middle of the broadcast. I got to say, though, that was the original light in that thing. I had to replace one in my other light. But that was the original light in that thing. And I've been using that since we started, since I was hired back to do Bayou Bets back in the day. So that light was 4 years old. I think we got our money's worth out of the light. All right, UBN, get your ass back in your seat so we can do this Pick'em thing here. He's ready. Here we go. And as y'all can see, I have given everyone blue. No one deserved anything no one even deserved black and gold. It was an absolutely horrendous week. The only way I can title last week is "You Have Got to Be Kidding," because you couldn't pick names out of a hat 100 times any worse than our picks were last week. Gabe, if there was a fire, Gabe would have won it at 0-3 with a minus 17 point differential. Gabe is now, to show you how weird our competition has been, and our Pick'em competition was going on all year. We go by point differential, not our against the spread record. But again, we were minus 560 as a whole. Now Gabe is actually sub 500, but he still leads in points. He's positive in points, whereas UBN and I are both above 500 against the spread, but minus in points. This is such a weird competition.
It's been weird all year, but it's been fun.
You're a little tinge loud there, UBN. You also might want to come down with your camera a little bit so Joe's logo isn't right over your face.
Yeah, you normally put me on the other side.
Yeah.
I mean, in the middle.
Yeah, I put you where the graphics lined up. Lance says minus. How do you do minus 40, by the way?
Because I had Oregon.
Just saying. You also had 0-3. So anyway, so Gabe's were the least stinkiest picks of all, although I did get a pick right because I picked Miami to cover against Ole Miss, and that is literally the only pick we got right of the whole thing. S. Callie says, by the way, she's from Denham Springs. She had no idea. She played at Pards. That's awesome. Small world.
Wow.
Small world. So anyway, Gabe, what do you have to say for yourself?
Nothing. I've said my piece.
Not the best color man in the business for nothing, boys and girls.
Baseball needs a salary cap and a salary floor.
There's no question about it. All right, we're going to get right to the
We
pick.
may need a cap, too.
I am going to say, and I always say it can always be worse. And I even said it earlier in the show, but I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think it can be worse.
I can't get worse than that.
Move
That ain't
yourself
happening.
down a little bit more, UBN, so Joe's logo isn't over your face. There you go. That's better. All right. Although I do appreciate that, don't forget the like and subscribe. So yeah, please don't forget to like and subscribe. All right. We're gonna go. Oh yeah, you're right. I did, and I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to because we need to tell you about the rest of your life. We told you earlier we will let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. They like pick'ems just like we do, I think. How do they do it? Well, after the complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanian Nick Braden and the folks at Evangeline, they will begin an extensive auction process from among established private equity funds from around the world. They'll maximize the return for the founder and there's his or her family. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. There are very few companies like them in this area, and I mean 0.0 with their dedication and success. And they appreciate a good Dattitude double chin. They are fully licensed. They are ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick about what's really important. And it ain't how bad our picks were last week or how bad our picks are going to be this week. Gabe Henderson, tell them what's really important.
The rest of your life.
Oh, you say it with some. Nick, tell them what's really important.
The rest of your life.
There you go. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. We're going to start off with Gabe this morning. It was the best of the week. And he's got some interesting picks. And I will say this before we get started.
The least smelly part of food.
We have doomed one team as we did last week. And I told you this would happen. As I said last week, all three of us picked.
I know who it is now.
Hold on. All three of us picked the Green Bay Packers. And it looked like we were cruising, baby. We were cruising down the boardwalk. And then the Packers turned into the Packers or into pumpkins, and Caleb Williams became the greatest quarterback in the history of football, and they lost. And so we all lost. And then, so this week we have a similar pick. I'm not going to tell you. So it's obviously one of these picks. And we also have another one to where two of us have the same pick. I won't say which two or what pick it is. And then we have one pick that's crossfire, which means that it's one against another. So, Gabe, since your picks are on the board, tell me which one did we all have that's the same?
We all had the San Francisco 49ers +7.
Which one do two of us have?
You and I both have the under on Bills Broncos.
And which one is crossfire?
I have the Texans +3 and UBN has the Patriots -3.
We'll see if he's correct. Get into your analysis. San Francisco +7 over the Seattle Seahawks.
49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan is 4-0 in his career in the divisional round, and he's 3-0 straight up as an underdog in the playoffs. They are 8-2 against the spread on the road. UBN brought it up earlier. Brock Purdy is 4-0 in Seattle. And since becoming head coach, the 49ers have played 7 games where they face a team that they've played within the last month. Again, Kyle Shanahan is 5-2 straight up in those games. And he's 3-0 when those games come within 2 weeks of each other. Or 3 weeks of each other, sorry. I like the 49ers in this spot to keep it close. Don't know if I like them to win, but if you're going to give me a touchdown in this game against a team that is quite literally automatic so far to make the NFC Championship, I like the Niners.
San Francisco +7 over the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. That is Gabe's first pick. Next, going on to the Buffalo Bills at the Denver Broncos, and it's under a robust 45.5. This was as high as 47.5. Money pushing this one down, although it's kind of stayed constant the last 3 or 4 days, been stuck on 45.5.
I think both teams are going to try and run the ball. Buffalo to keep themselves on the field, Denver to exploit Buffalo's bad rush defense. I mean, if we look at last week when Buffalo played the Jags, Tootin had like 3 carries for 55 yards on one of the drives, and then for some unknown reason didn't get a single touch in the second half.
Because the Jags
Buffalo's rush defense is bad. I think both teams are going to try and run the ball here, and I think this goes under. And then question for you guys, do you guys know who the crew chief is for this game?
Oh God!
Don't officials.
It is Carl Cheffers, and in games where he is the
you had to bring
official,
one of you is bringing up the you know what, and the other one's bringing up Carl Cheffers, who was the referee, and you know what. I mean, y'all are both a bunch of assholes.
Are 11-4.
You can take that under and shut
nugget.
up.
I like the under.
You were talking about
I got
Jacksonville
not
running the game, not running the ball, but I was listening to Russillo show, and Kevin Clark was talking about Peyton Manning on the show, said that offensive coordinators and coaches get bored when the running game works all the time. So they just like, oh, we got to throw the ball here. They're not expecting.
Well, I think that's absolutely true in these. By the way, hello, Tatters. Welcome to the show, my friend. Yeah, come on, Gabe. I mean, you got one of them saying one thing that I keep ignoring him, and he keeps trying to type it in, and I keep ignoring him. But he keeps typing it in, and yeah, we're trying to get over it.
Stay positive.
Taking UBN's point and transitioning it into my next pick. You know what coach didn't get bored with his team running the ball down the other throat last week? Demario
Texans +3 over the New England Patriots. Go ahead.
Everyone's so quick to talk about the Texans offense and how bad they were. Among the teams that played on Wild Card Weekend, they ranked first in yards offensively, first in EPA per play offensively, and first in third down conversion rate.
How many of that came after the Steelers said we're going to lose because dumbass threw a pick six and we don't give a shit?
None, actually.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't.
None of those yards.
Rodgers threw the pick six.
Okay. Well, the Steelers absolutely gave up before the pick six, by the way. Once Houston went up, was it 13-6 or 16-6, whatever it was?
17-6.
17-6, whatever. When they went up by that, the Steelers turned out. They might as well turn the lights out in the stadium and gone home because they gave up.
After that, the Texans just ran the ball down their throat. But they were converting.
I knew that my +3 was going to turn into a.
Before that.
Yeah, I knew that was going to turn into like a -20 something from. I couldn't even watch it. I actually turned it off. It was pretty bad. So
anyway, the
offense was still moving the ball. So everyone wants to talk about how poor their offense was. They were still moving the ball. CJ was just turning the ball over. We mentioned earlier. Jim, you alluded to it. CJ's not going to do that again. Do you know how many lost fumbles he had?
I didn't say he wasn't going to do it again. Season? I asked if he was going to do it again.
He's not.
I question whether he will.
He's not. Do you know how many lost fumbles he had during the season?
Don't care.
0.
I'm not trying to be mean here. When I say I don't care, the reasoning why I don't care is because I don't know what matters more. What he did throughout an entire season or a young quarterback who is coming off of what happened last week, and it kept happening to him last week, which is obviously uncharacteristic, but it kept happening, and that's why I wonder, and it's also why I stayed far away from this game. I want nothing to do with the game. I will probably bet it because I'm a degenerate, and I'll figure out what I'm going to bet when it comes time and whatever I feel. But this game, I have no idea. And so I don't want to say I have an idea.
I say this, and I'm going to look like a jackass on Monday if they lose this game. I'm more confident the Texans win this game. I'm more confident the Texans win this game than they were going to beat Pittsburgh.
I was confident that the Saints were going to beat Minnesota and beat the Rams too. I mean, super confident. And
yeah, that's fine. I think at the end of the day, I think the Texans pass rush is going to abuse Will Campbell. Okay. Will Campbell's been decent this season. He struggled last week against a far inferior pass rush. I've seen a lot of Patriots fans this week saying, "Oh, you got to target Derek Stingley." Please do. Please target Derek Stingley. Please try and use your running backs to chip the Texans pass rushers. I think the Texans win this game outright. I'm just taking the +3 for
before we move on.
I think they win this game outright.
Before we move on, I'm not saying anything you said was wrong, okay? Mm-hmm. But I'm going to say this. When you're doing best bets, completely my opinion, you can do whatever you want. It's your best bets. We all stunk last week. Who am I to pass an opinion on anything? But I'm going to say with this caveat, as a handicapper and someone who has done this throughout my career, I just don't think that it's the way you see your team is not always the way that it really is. And I've been as guilty of it as
you're right. But when you only have 4 games to pick,
no, I hear you.
Touching Rams, Bears.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
I felt more confident about this game.
Fair enough.
That was my last pick.
Okay, fair enough. Before I move on, apathy. Tomlin yelled uncle after that beat down, no doubt about it. Jerry says he just picked up an audio cable for his computer speakers, and we sound good. I'm just glad you can understand us. Tetters says, Gabe lived in Massachusetts. That defense has Pats fans scared. You make good points, but Stroud better tighten up his play. Lance says, no Nico, rookie wide receiver going to New England. CJ is good for 2 interceptions.
Don't think so.
We'll see. All right.
I think he's throws through.
You don't think he's okay? Well, we'll see. You
know
also,
what? Lance says Vrabel will outcoach Houston. I wasn't gonna bring this up because it's with a different team, so I think it's a moot point. Lance, do you know Vrabel's record against D'Amico head to head? 0-2. 0-2.
That's a huge sample size. There's only one sure thing on this show, by the way. There's only one sure thing, and that sure thing is the words that are about to appear on the screen.
Uncle Big, can we make some picks today? Well, can we please?
We didn't change better picks today?
Ryan says the Pats are overrated. Lance is laughing at 0-2. I don't know why you would laugh at such a stat, but whatever. Okay, well, I think we know where we're going here, and they're getting pretty much the answers to my question, and it's looking more and more like Gabe's going to be right. But you know what? Since we were just talking about that game, I'm going to have you start last, since you were last, and since you were -40, and I didn't even know that was possible, -40. You got Patriots -3 over the Texans. Why do you like that one?
Because I don't trust the Texans in Nicole. I don't trust the Texans offense. I don't trust CJ Stroud. And I understand the pass rush for Houston, but they were attacking a statue last week. Drake May can run. He's going to run. He's going to get out of there. If Will Campbell misses a block, he's going to run and get out of there. I love Drake May over rushing yards also. I just think the Patriots are a better team right now. And no Nico is huge. I think no Nico is huge.
Huge might be big as people say. Huge might be too strong of a word, but I do think it's important. I think it matters. I think no Nico matters. And
but Christian Gonzalez, not if he don't play, it's a moot point. It doesn't matter.
That is also true. I gave Gabe shit for picking his team. So I got to ask you, I'll just keep going that way from right to left instead of left to right. You got the San Francisco 49ers +7, just like Gabe does, over the Seattle Seahawks. What you're thinking there?
I just think it's going to be a close game. I mean, I know they lost 13-3 last time they played, but I mean, that game got out of hand kind of quick, and not out of hand, but Seattle just did what they wanted to do on the ground. And I think these linebackers are playing better. I think Frisco's playing better. They're playing with some kind of confidence that, we can't do it without injuries. We'll show you. And for all the idiots that wanted Shanahan fired, like, what are they doing? Like, a lot of Frisco people want him fired, and I'm like, well, why?
Yeah.
I mean, will he become?
Because fans are unrealistic and they always start asking for their coach to be fired. And be careful what you get for.
Because he hasn't won a Super Bowl.
Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, will he become the Philadelphia Andy Reid, where another coach is going to come in and win a Super Bowl with the same team? I don't know. But I love Shanahan, and I think he should be coach of the year. But I mean, I'm kind of biased on that. But he has done more with less than anybody I've ever seen. Like, I mean, every linebacker on the 53-man roster was injured last week.
Lance says he's rooting for you, Gabe. He says he would love to have his kids experience that in their hometown. So I know I have many friends in Houston.
You know how much fun the Slack channel would be for this weekend?
I know.
That game?
I know. You're right.
Can I just say, and this isn't a shot. I'm talking directly to UBN here. How nice is it to be able to pick our teams this week?
Oh, it is pretty nice.
It's nice. Was somebody saying something? Wait, what? Who said what? Sphincter says what? Just kidding.
That's mean. I said I wasn't taking a shot.
The first time we ever did that to us.
Meaningful football.
It's cool when you have your own show and you can do whatever the hell you want. Although Gabe has administrative access, he could probably boot me off if he wants to. All right, moving on to the last one.
I just feel like this game's going to be a lot closer than a touchdown. Like I think Seattle. Seattle eventually winds up winning, but I could see it being 3 or 4 points.
All right, you got last pick here. Bills plus 1.5 over the fighting Denver Broncos, the fighting Sean Paytons. You're going to really upset some Sean Payton fans out there.
Oh, God. Especially Doug with his pom-poms and Sean Payton jersey.
Oh, yeah. He pissed Lance off. You see that, Gabe? He would
said it wasn't a shot.
Man. You are not his guy
you
any
guys
longer.
have a Super Bowl.
All right. Go ahead. Speaking of a team that doesn't have a Super Bowl, Bills plus 1.5 over the Broncos. Go ahead.
I just trust Superman here more than Bo Nix. I think Josh Allen just going to will his team to win. And what is Patrick Surtain going to do in this game? He may not even have to wash his jersey after the game. Who is he going to cover?
He's going to ask his dad how to play in the playoffs.
I mean, it's just they have no receivers. He's not going to have to shut down anybody. He's going to be on Shakur the whole time. Josh Allen's going to run. I just don't trust Nix. I mean, I know people think he's good, but I don't trust Nix in this spot at all. Buffalo kind of coming off that, going to Buffalo, going down to Jacksonville, and then going to Denver. I mean, that's kind of a tough situation, but I just trust Allen here. He hasn't done anything to not gain my trust in this type of game.
Rocky says he's late as Nick's picks, but he's here.
I will say, I don't like having 2 picks on the same game, but I agree with one thing Jim said earlier. If I had to play the spread in this game, I would actually take the Broncos. So many people have been on the Bills in this game. I'm starting to come around and kind of like the Broncos.
The site where I get my info, and I was interested to see what was square or not. It's pretty close to 50-50, honestly, which kind of surprised me.
I can look at other
I'm sure it may be different in MGM.
I think it was 55%.
The site I looked at was like 53% Bills. I think it was pretty close. Speaking of Bills, Bill says the Bills. There you go. Lance says Sean has 2 weeks to get ready. Okay.
And he's ridiculing reporters. Yeah, that's what he's doing to get ready.
54% on the Bills.
Lance. I don't know. We'll get into the whole Sean thing. You know what I think. Don't get me started on Sean Payton. But I am rooting for Vance Joseph. So there you go. When's the last time Buffalo went to Denver? I don't know the answer.
2020, I think, or 2021. They killed them 38-13 or something like that.
I don't know.
I seen that earlier.
Rocky says Broncos, Seahawks, and Texans. All right, it is time.
Rocky only wants to pick 3 of the games.
It was 2020. 48-19 was the final.
All right, it's time for my picks. Hold your nose, boys and girls. I'm going a little bit different. And I say a little bit different. I'm going to actually wrote down some things that I want to say because just going off the cuff hasn't worked. So actually, I know this is going to surprise some people. My first pick, Bears plus 3.5 over the Rams. I give up. I give up. I've been wrong about the Bears. I planned it.
This is when they're going to lose.
Caleb Williams is the
when
greatest quarterback in the game today, and Ben Johnson is the only reason why the Detroit Lions won anything. Now, you happy? Seriously, though, it's too many points. I mean, it's too many points.
The Rams here.
I've already talked about, I just told you earlier, the last time that a team in back-to-back weeks in the playoffs were underdogs in the postseason. It was 2018 after the 2017 season. It was the Philadelphia Eagles. They did it by a combined point differential of 36 points. The first game was close. The second one wasn't. Will the Bears have a repeat of that? And then not only that, the Eagles went and beat the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl using the Philly special. They're going to do the same thing, but the Bears going to do a repeat of that? I don't know. But I can tell you one thing. I told you before I was going to pick against the Bears in the first week of the playoffs. Well, here's another guarantee. I will not pick against the Bears again until they lose. And for the love of Christ, let it be this week. But hopefully it's only by
let them lose by 3.
Or 3. That's right. I get a win. All right, next
pick. Beat them, join them, huh, Jim?
That's right. Like Gabe, I like the Bills, Broncos under 45.5. I almost went with the Broncos. With the Broncos just to continue the what's up is down theory. I just couldn't pull the trigger on Denver. I just don't think they're going to win this game. I just don't. That's so I'm not betting either way. I'm not betting either side. If I had to bet, I'd probably bet on Josh Allen. But I can't do it. I think the defense for the Broncos, obviously, for real, which is another reason why I shied away from New England, because obviously Houston's defense is fantastic. Well, I think Denver's defense is fantastic, and I already told you.
Denver's defense kind of wasn't great in the last.
Well, they have the number 2 rushing defense in the NFL, and I think that they are going to have to. I think Buffalo is going to have to run the ball to win this game. I think they're going to try to come out and run the football, and James Cook and Josh Allen too, for that matter. They're not going to be able to run quarterback sneaks from the 10-yard line this week. I can tell you that, right? That ain't going to happen. So yeah. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a fun game to watch, and I think it'll be a defensive battle. But I just can't bet. I just can't bet on Bo Nix in the playoffs. I just can't do it. So got the under. And then the last one, I am with y'all. So this is the one we have doomed the 49ers. Sorry, UBN. That means it's going to be an absolute blowout. 49ers plus 7 over the Sea.
I can't believe they made it this far with that roster. So, I mean, it's fine.
We have heard it over and over again to what Nick just said. San Francisco's all banged up. They simply can't win on the road without their 2 defensive studs, and now George Kittle's out. But if you're giving me 7 points and the 49ers blind against any team in the NFL, no matter where they play, I'm taking the 49ers 19 times out of 20. They still got Brock Purdy.
Especially the playoffs in the divisional round. Like that, exactly. Like Gabe said, with the record they have in this round.
Well, they haven't lost in Seattle in 4 years, and I'm not betting against Caleb Williams any longer. I sure as hell can bet against Sam Darnold with a trip to the NFC Championship game on the line. I am not betting on Sam Darnold. I don't care if he's got an oblique, if his butthole hurts, or if he's got a couple hairs out of place, whatever it is, I ain't betting on Sam Darnold. Give me the Niners, give me plus 7, and there you go. We have just done.
Everybody's bringing up how Seattle beat them in the last week to get the number 1 seed, and how it was such a bad game. The defense only gave up 13 points. Like, I mean, they shut them down basically. You know,
Bill with the no BS no shit comment of the day. The Bears better not give the Rams a 3-touchdown lead. Well, yeah,
that's when they play their best. They might as well.
If there's a team to do it against, it might be the Rams, because their running game isn't overly great.
It's like the Bears are just like they just sleepwalking, and they said, "Oh, it's the fourth quarter. It's time to go play."
I saw someone say that if
Ryan wants
Caleb Williams 4th and 11 every play of his career, he'd be the best quarterback in the history.
Yeah, probably so. You can't do anything when it's 3rd and 1, but that's because Ben Johnson gets 2 GDQ. Don't get me started on that. Ryan says he feels like Peyton is notorious for starting slow in playoff games. What's the first half line of the Bills? Gabe's going to look it up before we go off the air.
Yeah, I can probably
a half.
I had to guess.
All right. I'm about to show a graphic that's going to cover up my face, and it is what it is.
Finally.
Plus 0.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Plus
Minus
0.5.
120.
There you go. Yeah, probably not worth betting.
Yeah, it's not worth
All
it.
right, you get 20 fake Derry Bucks. Gabe is keeping track of this. UBN, you're going to go first. What is your pick? I mean, I'm sorry. I should have made a graphic that wasn't going to cover up most of my face, but who cares? Nobody wants to see me anyway. Maybe this will work. Does this work? Oh, yeah, that's okay. You can do that. You can still see UBN's face. All right, so there you go.
Oh, you can see Joe now.
Joe Boo?
No, Joe
No,
Montana.
okay. All right, I want to see. I'd rather see Joe Boo. All right, Super Bowl odds. I'm going to let UBN go first. You got 20 free Derry Bucks, and you can put them wherever you want. Where are you putting them on the Super Bowl odds?
All right, I'm putting 10 on the Rams,
All right.
5 on the Patriots, and 5 on the Niners.
10 on the Rams, 5 on the Patriots, and 5 on the 49ers at plus 2,000. You got plus 600 with the Patriots and plus 320 on the Rams. Gabe, what you got?
I'm almost identical to UBN. I'm throwing 10 on the Rams. I'm putting 5 on the Niners, and I'm putting 5 on the Texans.
All right. Say that again.
$10 on the Rams.
Okay.
$5 on the Niners. $5 on the Texans.
All right. And that leaves me. I don't like either one of the top two. You're not getting any value there whatsoever. Neither one of those teams are worth betting on. I know Zach likes the Seahawks, but whatever. So I'm just not going to waste any money on who there's any value on. So I'm going to put 5. No, not let's make it 3 on the Niners. I'm going to put 3 on the Niners.
I thought he was going to go like 225.
I'm going to put 7 on the Bears because Caleb Williams.
You really feeling this Bears thing
because the Bears can't lose. So put 7 on the Bears, and give me 8.
10 left.
No. Let's see. No. Let's got 10 left. Give me $7 on the Patriots. And 3 on the Bills in case the Bills win it all. I will break even with my Derry Bucks. So there you go. I got you got it written down, Gabe.
Yeah.
Read it back to me.
You and Zach are taking half the field.
Yeah.
But I
got
$3 on the Niners, so I'd win $60
on the Niners and Bills.
Minus my 20 bet, so I would win. I would profit 40. I got 7 on the Bears. I'm not doing 7 times 16, but obviously I would profit money there. I got 7 on the Patriots.
7 times 16.
Bears and the Patriots.
I got 7 on the Patriots, so I would win money there. I would win $22. I would profit $22. And then if the Bills win the Super Bowl, I would break even. And if anybody else wins, then I'm just screwed. I'll lose 20 fake Derry Bucks.
Lance, you might as well donate 20 to charity.
20 on Denver. Rocky's got 10 on the Broncos, 5 on the Texans, and 5 on the Bears. And Bill says he's putting all of his on the Bills because nobody picked them. I just did. I just put $3 on the Bills as a safety net in case, I break even or something like that. You know what I meant. You'll know what I meant.
I think the NFC is going to win the title.
All right.
Probably. So.
All right, boys, a special show Monday. You will all be back on here as we give we will actually have official pick'em bets on the national championship game on Monday. You will have to pick either the side or you'll have to pick a total. One of the two. Those are your options. You can't parlay.
Okay.
You can't make a player prop. You can't do anything. You can't make a first half line. None of that stuff. One of those things. And so it will count in the pick'em. So a force play there. And then next week, we're going to change the rules up when we do the pick'em. We're going to allow pretty much whatever you want within reason. I don't want to see first punt at whatever. It'll be the same rules. You can't do
first play.
You can't do anything that's over minus 120. You can't pick it. If it's more than minus 120, you can't pick it. It'll be the same rules, but we are opening ourselves up next week.
Coin toss is 110. So
you're not doing that shit. You're not doing coin toss. Don't do something stupid. Do something that's and that you can give me reasoning behind. Not that the heads is 113 of the last 20. None of that.
Hey,
punts and the twin blood. None of that crap. Give me something realistic that people are going to want to bet.
To be fair, I think LSU only won 2 coin tosses this year. So,
well, they didn't win a lot of games either.
yeah.
No, they didn't. But There can be trends for the coin toss.
All right. Well, it'll be fun to finish Mono E Monday with you clowns, but that is how we will finish Mono E Monday. Now, y'all have a great weekend. I'm sure the text group will be rocking and rolling.
Oh, especially for that game.
All right. See y'all then. I can't wait. Oh yeah, I can't wait for Sunday either. See you later. All right, that's it. Again, if you didn't hear me say this before, memberships. Look, it was a busy week. Didn't get a chance to do it. Memberships will be open by Wednesday, January 21st. This time, I mean it. GD, I mean it. It's gonna happen. What a membership will entail is, look, first of all, supporting this channel. And I know you regulars, it's not going to be expensive. It's going to be $14 a month. You will have access to a Slack channel, and if you're wondering what a Slack channel is, it's basically a messaging way to message each other and kind of a group message thing that you can put on your phone or not put on your phone and have it. You can set it up to whatever way you want. You can see when someone types in there, or you can just go check it on your own, whatever you want. But it will be all the DAT regulars, including me and Gabe and UBN. We will all be in there. And so we will also regularly talk to one another. You'll get that with your membership because the Slack's going to be members only. You also get merch. I haven't figured out exactly what merch you're going to get yet, but merch will be part of membership. You will get something. So what I'm planning on doing is giving you something small when you first join. It's probably something along the lines of a DAT sticker or a DAT pen. So one of those things, those also will be for sale eventually as well. Something along those lines. And then if you're a Dattitude member for 6 months, after you're a member for 6 months, we're going to send you a shirt of some sort. And it's not just a t-shirt. Or we'll figure it out. Anyway, we'll come up with something, but it's going to evolve. It's as much for supporting the channel as anything. And I know most of y'all have supported the channel well anyway. Barry, thank you so much for being a DAT regular. Thank all of y'all for being a regular. Gabe is typing as we speak. Breaking news before we go off the air on this Friday afternoon. Fahim Delane, former Ohio State safety, was in the portal. It was hoped that he would go to LSU. He's Mansour Delane's brother, and he is going to LSU. So one of the top safeties in the portal is headed to play for Lane Kiffin's Tigers. And if my numbers are correct, that brings the portal total for the LSU Tigers up to 33, a whopping 33. Anyway, so that's our membership pitch. We'll probably give it again next week. But regardless, whether you become a member or you're a regular or whatever, please, you don't have to be a member to subscribe to the YouTube page. If you have not yet subscribed to the YouTube page, please do. I promise I will have a new light in my screen there, so I'm not fuzzy and my hands not waving. It's kind of magic. It's kind of cool. See how that does that. And if you're just listening to the pod and you're wondering what's going on here, one of my lamps went out and I'm kind of fuzzy on one side of the screen. The lamp worked for 4 years. Can't be too upset. 4.5 years, as a matter of fact. Can't be too upset with it. But anyway, again, as I ramble on and finish the show here, you can find me on X at Jim Derry Jr., but subscribe to the Dattitude YouTube page. Give us a like. Click the little bell. You always know when we're going there live, which is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m. Central Time. You can also find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify. You can even find us on Amazon. I don't think they have Google Play anymore, but wherever the major podcast platform, we are there, and many more. Enjoy look, I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a savor every single moment you can of this weekend. And thank you so much, Ted Ers. Thank you so much, Escali. Thank all of y'all so much. But savor every single moment of this weekend, because when it's over, when Monday night is over, you got 3 football games left. That's it. Until August, you got 3 football games left after this weekend. Enjoy it. Love on it. Get you some potato. If you're on a diet like I am, you know what? Maybe you have a cheat day. Maybe you get the Ruffles and the sour cream and onion dip and you just go to town. Maybe you eat a pizza. Who knows? You do whatever the hell you want to do because it's NFL, division weekend, and college football championship. We will see you on Monday for Mono Monday, and you will get our college football championship picks. Until then, take it easy, my friends.